Or one of the kids breaks something or the dog gets sick. Well, it's a good thing you had that check, but it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to just say, ooh, comfort. No, you're going to have to spend it. So is Anne Marie here? Because I'm running out of things to talk about. But anyway, there are actually the Five of Wands, and wands in general are always usually about work. And it is about conflict and competition. And it usually has to do with your job or your career, you know.
Conflict and competition are usually a pretty good thing.
Well, you need it. And it is something that does make you better. So it's just something you'll have to deal with. And it's one of those kind of days, We're looking at the day, so we're not talking about what your year is going to look like.
No, the thing is, today I kind of wanted to discuss some of the celebrations that are going around the world, or maybe even the ancient days of spring. Now, is this the spring equinox time, right? Around Easter, isn't it?
Well, we had that already with spring.
Okay, but I mean, there's a lot of celebrations happening around the same time Easter is.
Spring is a great time. That's when everyone's partying, and Easter kicks it off because
right.
It's a joyful time, and actually, just because it's spring and everybody's happy and giddy, and everybody wants to be outside, and it's we're sick of winter, so yeah, we're going to be celebrating. And you might have a few early festivals, if the weather's nice. Some towns do that, and some communities do that. I say get out there. It's a good time, really. I'd say it's always healthy.
I guess Egypt is having the festival of Isis. It's a celebration of spring and rebirth. Isis features prominently in the story of the resurrection of her lover. And although Isis' major festival was held in the fall, they're also told that the Egyptians hold the festival of Isis at the time when the Nile begins to rise. So the goddess has the mourning of the lost lover, and the tears which drop from her eyes swell the impetuous tide of the Nile River. In Iran, the festival of Nowruz, how do you say that? Nowruz? Shortly before the equinox, and the phrase actually means new day, and this is a time of hope and rebirth. Typically, a lot of cleaning is done, sounds like us, and old broken items are repaired, homes are repainted, and fresh flowers are gathered and displayed outdoors. And then, of course, we have Easter. Ireland, St. Patrick's Day is celebrated on March 17th, which has already happened. But one of the reasons it's so famous is because he drove the snakes out of Ireland. I didn't know that. And was even credited with the miracle. Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. Did you know that? I did not know that.
That was the story I heard growing up about St. Patrick, yeah.
You must have been.
He drove the snakes out of Ireland.
Yeah.
Well, saints usually that's Catholic.
I was going to say that's a Catholic kind of thing. Yeah.
That's a Catholic thing, and I went to parochial school. I went to a Catholic elementary school for 12 years, or 8 years rather. And I went to a public high school then after that.
In Italy,
that's one of the legends. I don't know how true that is, but that's the story. That's what
sounds very Pied Piper-ish.
Well, it does, doesn't it? And actually, the story of the Pied Piper always reminded me of St. Patrick. There were very similar stories. Yeah. But actually, the Pied Piper was a kind of dark story. Actually, had a dark ending, and if I remember it correctly,
all I remember was that he was walking. He was playing his flute, and the rats were falling off the edge into the ocean. And
Yeah.
I
He
don't.
lured them away, but he actually also then at the end did he not lure away all the town's children too as
Oh, he
punishment or
did.
something?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, or something like that. The thing is, there are many different versions of these stories.
Yeah.
And that's what I remembered. And I
But
seem to recall a
it's
movie too, where he took away all the kids. He lured them away. They all
uh,
followed him off. Yeah,
you know what
very
that
sad.
reminds me of?
Mhm.
It reminds me of sort of a Clint Eastwood movie where he comes and paints the town scarlet, and he
Oh,
comes as a good guy, but then he leaves as a ghost, punishing all the people. It kind of reminds me. There's probably so many takes of this same kind of thing where people come back, or obviously the Pied Piper had an
well,
issue with
usually
that town.
yeah, it's like they did the favor, but then something the person for the people for whom the favor was done reneged on something, and that's usually what happens. Is then the person says, "All right, then I'm going to do this on my way out. Bye bye,"
Yeah,
and
and it says
that's
that
what
many
they
people
do.
don't
Yeah.
realize that the serpent was actually a metaphor for the early pagan faiths of Ireland. St. Patrick brought
Hmm.
Christianity to the Emerald Isle and did such a good job of it that he practically eliminated paganism from the country.
Wow.
In Italy, for the ancient Romans, the feast of Cybele was a big deal every spring. Cybele was a mother goddess who was at the center of fertility cult, and eunuch priests performed mysterious rites in her honor. And of course, in Judaism, um, one of the Judaism's biggest festivals is Passover, which takes
Hmm.
place in the middle of the Hebrew month. And it was a pilgrimage festival and accommodates the exodus of the Jews from Egypt after centuries of slavery. And in Russia, the celebration of uh, Maslantasa, I don't know how to say it. I can only drink is a time of the return of light and warmth. This folk festival is celebrated about 7 weeks before Easter, and during the Lent season, meat, fish, and dairy products are prohibited, and that it's the last chance anyone will get to enjoy uh, again meat or eggs or anything for a while. And so it's typically a big festival held before the somber, introspective time of Lent. Um, but pancakes are a big thing. And in Scotland, the
Oh.
area of the spring season is welcomed with whoopity scurry, held on March 1st, and children assemble in front of a local church at sunrise, and when the sun comes up, they race around the church waving paper balls around their heads. And at the end of the third and final lap, the children gather up coins thrown by local assemblymen, and according to the Capital Scot, there's a story that this event began ages ago when troublemakers were scored in the river as punishment for bad behavior. So
Oh.
I'm not sure. Kill the bad children. I don't know. But anyway,
Oh dear.
spring is a odd time. It's a cool time, but I love some of the pagan celebrations as well. We do want to say sorry that
Hmm.
we did have some sound issues there for a while. We were trying to work that out. Of course, Microsoft made some updates, and that changed everything for us over here. Um,
Yeah, updates are always a hassle.
so, have you had any problems with the, oh gosh, what is it called? Um, this,
Skype.
no, not Skype. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. The astrological time.
Oh, the Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, the retrograde. Did you have any problems with things
Um,
going?
yeah, well, I guess when I wasn't paying attention to it, I used to more often, but I wasn't paying attention because actually sometimes it just seems like every day is like that anyway. Um, but it sure felt like it was a retrograde. And when I heard it mentioned on Facebook, I thought, oh, of course. Well, I'm going to refrain from talking. I mean, from mentioning it or posting it on Facebook because I usually always do. And and actually, the last time we had one, I posted, I'm not going to post about Mercury retrograde. So I still did. But I guess we're in the shadow period, and we're either out of the woods or we're almost out of the woods. So whatever problems you've been having, it should be getting better. But you still have to be careful because I remember getting really, really, I I had something
Where
blow
you
up in
become
my face.
overcautious,
On the
overcautious.
last day of the shadow period, you have to really, I mean, if you could just stay home, that would be
Well,
nice.
you know, what's
But yeah, you
crazy
really
for
have to be careful because stuff will blow up in your face actually just when you think it's done. And everyone's like, ooh, everyone's giddy. And then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, something crucial and it was overlooked or you just weren't paying attention and it's a disaster. So yeah, you could, I'd say, yeah, be careful. Um, if we're out of it, I'd say, yeah, we're fine. But there is an improvement, definitely. Like, say, everyone should be noticing an improvement. Like, say, compared to this week to, say, a few weeks ago, you'll notice that it's a little better. Communications and plans are a little more organized, and people are doing their jobs a little better and stuff like that. They're paying more attention. During the retrograde time, people usually involved in communications and travel usually aren't at their best, and those are usually the air signs who have these types of jobs because it's what they're good at. Like Geminis and Libras. I think Libra's an air sign, and so is what's the other? There's, there's another
um,
one.
I'm not an astrology. I'm just, I always am pure tarot and
Yeah,
channeling
yeah.
and so
But those are
astrology.
the people that are usually like involved with, uh, you know, communications, entertainment,
Mhm.
planning, travel, your travel agencies. Because it's a very fast pace and there's a lot of variety. So and it just kind of seems to people who are air signs tend to be very good with this. So they also tend to be radio personalities or newscasters. They tend to be in the media a lot, and they also are the ones that a lot of times are doing your reservations when you're doing a trip, and they're the ones that find your hotels and lose your luggage at the airport, and stuff like that. And at this time of the year, for some reason people in these jobs don't do very well for this period for some reason astrologically during this time when Mercury is going backwards. It's not like something magical is happening where stuff is going to crap. It's just that it's these people are not at their best and stuff isn't working right. And or decisions are made during this time involving these services such as like what we were talking about, and it just messes everything up and plans get messed up. You need to double check things and you
Well,
need to double check your reservations, stuff like that. It's
it,
just a pain. It's a big pain, but we get through it.
for me, it seems as if I've just noticed that people's attitudes have been
Oh
unusually
yeah,
grumpy, and from people that
well they
have no
misunderstand.
idea
Yeah,
and would never even know anything about retrograde. I noticed
right.
that every working electronic item in our house started going crazy, but then my husband
Yeah.
had the death of a friend at the same time, and I truly do
Oh
believe that the first 2 weeks of a death of someone close, it seems as if electrical uh, items and
yeah.
things like that do go wonky a lot of times.
Well,
But it seemed like
it's always something you don't know. need to have happen. It's like on top
Mm.
of it all, the dishwasher starts leaking.
You're right.
It's
Don't
just sort
have
of
a
like,
dishwasher.
great.
This is my dishwasher. Hands. But
Well,
I
the thing is, so much gets cooked around. I mean, there's a constant kitchen project in this particular
right.
household, and it's always something heavy duty. And so we have all these appliances, and they're all these like big things. And the thing is, something always goes wrong. It's usually something that makes a mess, and you're not aware of it at the time. And it happens at a time when you're distracted by something else. You know, those things you don't need to have happen, like problems with the car. You know, and
Today I was like, I woke up and I thought, okay, gonna get those taxes and those tax write-offs all on print and everything for my business. And
oh yeah, I was
um,
putting it off because
sure
it
enough,
was
I
too
put
soon.
sure enough I put the printer on, and it was out of ink. Well, the closest
Uh,
store that I could get ink was 10 miles away. So I got in the car with the dogs and went to get ink for the computer or for the printer. Came back, put the ink in, and it said, "We're sorry. There is something not connecting with your computer." So then I'm just pulling my hair out, screaming and telling myself, why did I wait to the last minute? But I always do when it comes to tax time. And it's just like me and printers. It just seems as if they,
uh-huh.
especially
Well,
at
see,
this time of year, every year.
that is the feature of the retrograde is that okay, like say if you're normally somebody who could really wing it and always finish really well at the last minute, you
Not
know,
now.
not during a retrograde. It's like never count on being able to do that because something stupid will get in your way and it will mess you up. And now I've had every time I've talked about the retrograde, there are many people who say, well, you're just finding something to blame your own problems on. And I was like, well, no, here's how I discovered the retrograde. Here's what I discovered the lore behind
Okay.
it. Throughout my life, I have, there are certain times of the year where everything I do goes to shit. And
Hmm.
everything around me makes sure. It just seems like it's like I'm running through mud trying to make things work, and it's just simply not going to. And it's the worst time ever. It's something like a dental thing, and it's like school. And it's always certain times of the year, and unfortunately, in the school system and in most colleges, you have these 4 quarters throughout the year, and you have your midterms and your exams. And I swear, it's like, can you pick a different time for these things to happen? Because it happens right smack on the retrograde, and it's like these are the worst times of the year. It's not because of what's going on; it's because of the timing, and it's what's going on. What usually happens at these particular times is that no matter what's going on, it's going to get screwed up. And I have had weird things happening with exam week. I would get a 3 hour start because I would take 2 buses to get to college when I was back in the 70s, late 70s. And I swear that's the one day that my my connection bus broke down and didn't show up. And I got there 5 minutes
Of
late
course,
for the
of course. And
exam.
then what?
Because I ended up walking, and it's just like, it's like this doesn't happen every
Right.
day,
Never.
but it would happen on. But I was fine. I got A+. I was fine, and the
Oh,
guy was
great.
easygoing because there are some instructors that would say, tough. You can't take the exam. Come back
Yep.
next year.
Yeah.
And it's just like I gave myself 3 hours, for God's sake, and to get there. I should have been there an hour and a half earlier, or at least 2 hours early, so I would have had time to relax and study, have a cup of coffee or not wine, or
In the
whatever, and
perfect
go and
world,
just
that would have been
relax.
nice.
Right, right. In a perfect world, any other day it would have been like that, but that day, and that's what usually would happen. And so I thought, why does this keep happening? It seems like no matter what I do with safeguards on certain days that are very important, no matter what happens, where I give myself lots of travel time, and what would happen is I have roads blocked off for some odd reason, like a gas main, an entire
Yeah, yeah,
stretch
yeah.
of blocks, and then you go to a shortcut, and then there's a truck and the stuck in the middle of the road trying to back up into a driveway, and everybody is waiting, and you're thinking, oh my God. And then you get past all this, and then there's yet another odd thing, and you find yourself going like maybe 10 miles out of your way to get around it. And then your intention was to get there an hour early. You find yourself either barely making it or showing up late. And it's very aggravating. And so I began to investigate it. So I thought, well, I used to read the astrology all the time. I didn't really pay much attention to it, but I began to wonder. I thought, so what is going on astrologically these times of the year where I am always having a bad time? And it seems like there is a certain people that always were. And then I read about the Mercury retrograde and how it usually air signs the most. And of course, when it affects us, it's a ripple effect. I mean, it might not affect, say, a Taurus directly, but if
Right.
that Taurus made reservations and an air sign is screwing it up, or it didn't go through, or someone at the bank didn't process something, or you know what I'm saying, that is, or they're not checking their rear view mirror, or it's just, you really have to be careful with travel and driving, and your bus will be late, or something stupid will happen, or horrific, like say you're waiting for a train. I don't know, once I very rarely took the train. The one time I took a train because I was in between cars. I was about to buy a new car. The other one was wrecked. It just fell apart. It was old. And I was waiting for a train. The first time I took a train in years, and it was 2 hours late. And the other people who were waiting said, it's never late. And I said, would you believe it? The first time I take one in 2 years, and it's late because there was an accident on the road. I mean, on the
Oh, wow.
tracks. And there was a delay, and I thought, and everybody just said, this is your fault.
Oh no! Oh no!
Well, we were
That's
kidding.
not
They were
good.
all kidding.
I was
But
just doing kind of a little reading on the spirit of things, and the question I was asking was, what dynamic? Where is this going? What dynamic may be happening? And Richard, I do want to say from Maine, we will get to you in just a second. What dynamic um, are things going into? And I thought this was interesting. The last thing I was thinking was to pull up this card, but it was the card of the beloved. And I thought, well, what does that mean? And it says the beloved is the recognition of spirit in the people around us and moving towards spirit through the others. It is when the divine appears to us in the form of our child, our partner, our pet, and we experience being in love with, in other words, getting through the tough times through the love of the precious things around us. So as we grow, we start to recognize that the beloved is in everyone, not confusing their personality with their divine nature. Accept the invitation to learn through the path of love. Expand your being through union with others. When you recognize the beloved in the people around you, you call forth their highest and purest nature and follow that path of love, because like attracts like, and when you see the best in them, they respond to you in a like kind of energy. So the medicine is be careful, especially with romantic love or the kind of love you fall into and out of. Own all of your projections you have placed upon the person you are dreaming of. Remember that they are only mirroring back your own deep longings rather than revealing who they truly are. If you fail to notice this, be prepared to walk through the fire of strong emotions, good and bad, once again. So, what does that mean? I guess to me that means, especially in the political current that's going on in the world right now, and the uh, rebellious, belligerent nature of the people through the retrograde, it kind of says to me, yeah, we can focus on all those negatives. And this isn't to say we're all supposed to say kumbaya. It's just to remember that there is no getting along between political parties. There is no getting along between dimensions. There is no getting along between people if we cannot try to see the sacred divine in them instead of focusing on just the bullshit. So that's kind of how I took that. Do you have anything to add to that? Because we have to read on Richard from Maine after
No,
you.
I say that was very good. Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
right now it is very easy to get caught up on everything going on, and just see it
Well, it's a
as
constant. It's every day. Every day is something new to distract you from the last thing. It's just every day it's you hear of something horrifying.
right.
Every day you hear of something that just makes your jaw drop,
And
you
and
know.
and the worst part about media is that it thrives on dropping our jaws.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you may wake up and wish for a non-retrograde type day, but it's very difficult when all you hear is jaw-dropping negativity.
Yeah, it comes to you really rather easy, doesn't it, without even trying.
I was listening to the show
It's just,
before this one. I was listening to the show before
well,
this one.
it's just something, it's, oh, you were, which one?
It was kind of a philosophical one about how we drop in and out of different dimensions and how sometimes we can, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
get caught into dimensions like they suggested what dimension was Trump in and what how did we get here and all this, but then again it says
Well,
the dimension is constantly changing.
it has
So
it has such an, a feel of non-reality that
I
it
just
is easy to imagine it
I just think
being
yeah,
some other dimension.
politics period is just it's beginning to be something
Yeah.
so negative to me. I'm seeing so much bad in both parties right now that I just, I'm just at that point
You know
of
what
exasperation.
I would like it to be a tough choice with I would like to have like my voting experience to be like a decision like gee they both have so many wonderful points. I would like that to be my tough decision is to have to decide between two people or two parties that actually have a lot to offer to me, you
Right.
know, and to
It's,
those around me, the people I know and care about. You know, it'd be nice to have a choice like that instead of always I think many people feel that they're always never really voting for who they want, but they vote to vote against what they don't want. And and that seems to be a lot of the drive. It's like, oh, good Lord, I don't want that. I better, vote the opposite if I don't want that. Definitely, if it's what you don't want more than the other thing. It would
Right.
be nice not to base decisions on the lesser of two evils, but you do have to pick the lesser, to keep away what you feel would be what you would be evil. So you have to, but you think it would be nice to have that be a tough choice. It would be nice to have it so that it would
Instead,
be a tough choice to decide between the two people because they both have some good strong points that are
they do. Both
hard to
have.
overlook. It would be difficult. I mean, that's what I would like to see. I don't think, actually, I'm not really seeing that, but I would like to see that. It would be nice to be presented with a tough choice like that, where, gee, they're both so good, I don't know which way to go. That would be a nice thing, but we don't have that.
No.
And no matter what you want, we don't have that. And no matter with their choice,
The
I think what they
disabled.
do is
I
they just know what they don't want,
Yeah.
and or to
I was
see
gonna
what
say
they don't want. They're being presented by what they don't want, so that's why they vote because they don't want that. So that's what gets them out there to vote, but they vote
right.
against, not for. It's something that a lot of us do, and not everybody, but it's something that it's a feeling that the choices are not so great, and so you're picking through what you think would be right. And of course, we're all going to disagree. I don't know what to
Okay.
say about that
We have we
because
have
those who disagree do not think the same way another person would. So, who's next? Who do we have waiting for
well,
us?
we have Richard from Maine says he is a disabled senior
Richard.
citizen and recently went through a horrific experience in a court. It was so bad, I have filed a complaint with the Human Rights Commission against the judge and the other attorney, and also my attorney and my ex-wife, all of whom I
Oh,
believe violated the Americans with Disabilities Act laws during this proceeding. What do you see as an outcome here? Wow. I guess,
well, I do see. I did a 3 card spread, and I do see in the past, things are great. I mean, it was a great time. I do see that it was a time when his mission, a career, was such a clear thing for him, and it was something that was absolutely perfect for his abilities and his skills. It was a good time, and I do see that at the present time we have strength, but we see it turned upside down. So I do see that it's a time when, boy, you really have to be patient. And that's, as you say, yeah, that's an understatement, because this is very difficult and for you, and it's an awful thing that you're going through. Um,
do you see it a good outcome or a bad
I would
outcome?
say, well, I would say you need to be very patient at
Oh
this
gosh, I have the
time,
same thing.
and you need to watch your temper, even though you have earned a right to blow up, certainly, but you can't now. And the thing is, you might be tempted to do something underhanded or maybe an abuse of power. And even though, no, I can't blame you, don't do that because that will mess everything up. That will make the situation worse. And that's what I see at the present time. You're being warned about. You stay above board. Stay patient and do everything. Be professional with this. That's the best thing I could think of to say about the current situation. Now you have to get through this, but I do see the Two of Swords. coming here. And I do see that because of staying calm during this time, it will be a much better direction for you in an outcome. There will be you'll be moving in the proper direction, and you'll have a much better outcome. It will human interactions are going to be much better, and you'll be with the right. But if you blow up and abuse power at this time to try to resolve this issue, if you don't stay above board, what's going to happen is you're going to go in the wrong direction, and it's just going to lead to more problems. So watch yourself with this, and it's asking a lot to say stay calm and don't do anything stupid or angry. You got to watch those emotions, and I know that they're very strong. It's not easy. But that's the only way you're going to get through it, because it will be much better. It will be much better if you do this. You actually have to become a saint to get through this. But you'll do it. You'll do it, because you're going to see this. You're going to feel this happening. You'll say, okay, I know how I'm feeling right now. Be aware of that, okay? And sometimes it's best to not say anything, or not say anything. Don't say anything, the wrong thing to the wrong people who could use it against you. You really got to watch what you say. Really. Okay. That's all I got to say on it. You can work this out, but you got to be cool. You'll be all right. Okay. Anne Marie.
Interestingly, I did a life path reading with my Native American cards. It is the only time that I actually read a passage, because I call it kind of like the I Ching, where you pick a card that represents the person and their journey. And when I picked the card that represented your journey through this, it was the eagle. And when I looked at what that meant, it said, eagle comes from the east, the place of the rising sun, and of new beginnings. Have you become trapped in your daily routine and feel you do not know where to go and what to do next? Have you lost your sense of purpose? Eagle invites you to, like Joseph said, take a deep breath, spread your wings. Eagle reminds you that your spirit was born to soar, but as you contemplate your choices, ask yourself, do I want to live in a chicken coop, sheltered from life, counting the regular feedings, or do I want to soar like an eagle? If your answer is to soar like an eagle on your choices in the courtroom, then you must accept Eagle's invitation. Embrace the courage that will help you choose freedom. But the medicine of this is to remember, let your vision of the whole and of its parts become laser-like, and get your priorities straight. What did you come into this whole situation to do? Did you come to climb the ladder of financial success? Did you come to become a better person? To heal your body and heart? And to realize where you're supposed to be in your essential self? What is your mission in the courtroom? No more excuses. Of course, you do not have enough time, enough money, or enough sleep, yet the time is now to fly to your chosen purpose in the courtroom. If you postpone it, you are betraying yourself. In other words, the more that you sue this person and this person and this person and this person, what you're doing is actually prolonging a decision, because then you have to deal with all of that. So look through the eyes of the eagle and consider the obstacles and the opportunities. Where you set your intention is where it's going to go. But don't complicate things worse for yourself. Try to have some boundaries based on your priorities. And that's what I see. If you continue to sue everybody around you, do you become like the Pied Piper that we discussed before? Coming back to help the town get rid of the rats, but then to eliminate the children that you're angry with? Have you become like the Pied Piper that's lashing out? Your revenge. I believe there's an answer for all of this, and if your disabled senior citizen self is in the right with your attorney, with the judge, and with your ex-wife, then things are going to come out and you'll find the right people to help you. But if you feel that you have to lash out and sue everybody around you, are you only prolonging the outcome? Set your priorities straight. That's what I see. Yep. All right. So I do want to say we have Chris here in the room. And Chris, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Emery?
I'm doing good, sweetie. What's going on today?
I just calling checking up on you, how you were doing.
I'm doing great. Do you want an angel reading? Do you want an angel reading from us today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I love you. Have a positive attitude. You're very on Mercury retrograde. You have a positive attitude today. All right.
Well, better, yeah.
You want to give a reading for Chris today?
Well, it's not an angel reading, but I did do.
That's all right.
That's your thing. But
I know. My thing.
While Chris was talking, I pulled his cards. I pulled 3 cards, and I do see that. Oh, in the past, you had some problems with finances, and it was pretty much due to poor planning and some bad decisions, and because we don't know everything when we're starting out, and so that happens. But I do see that was in the past, and it is something that's going away if you're still seeing it. But it is an influence that does kind of like color your decisions about things. I do see that currently it just seems like we have the Ten of Wands, which tells me that life is a constant battle for you. It's like you never seem to get a break, and that's what the card is, the caption is. But I do see that your heart is good, your heart is happy, and that you appreciate your life. I do see that, yes, you have to work. At times, maybe you might doubt your own worth, but actually you shouldn't, because we get overextended, and so you might feel overextended, and that does deplete our energies. It does make us feel like we're going uphill, carrying a load. But I do see that you should perhaps maybe look for some more creative changes. And I do see that maybe this is a good time for you to start. Maybe if you're thinking you would like to maybe have a different job, this might be a really good time for you to go look. But I will say, do not leave one until you have secured another. And it's one that you really feel good about. But this card says you are working really hard, but maybe you don't have to work as hard, or maybe you can get paid more. If you look elsewhere, maybe it's a good time for it. The climate might be right. And besides, in the spring, that's when people do the most hiring. And you might want to apply for a job or put a resume out before all the college kids get out soon, because they'll be looking for jobs for the summer. Lots of kids will be out there. So I do see that in the future we have the Ace of Wands, and I do see that what you need to watch out for is don't make too many commitments. And again, it's like, you need to not overextend yourself and don't make so many promises. And maybe perhaps um, you need to take some more time for yourself. And I know you want to help everybody, and but maybe don't be as available for some commitments. Still have some, you know, have the ones that really mean the most to you, but there are some that just really do suck up your time. And the cards say, you probably don't need to do as much as you do.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here because we got 2 minutes left.
Oh dear, go on.
Chris, the first thing that comes up is you have a lot of natural intuition. Pay attention to that intuition. That's your angels talking to you. They're telling you what people, what places, and like Joseph was saying, maybe some little jobs that you could enjoy and do this summer. Your reading also says this is a great summer for you to communicate with people, maybe help somebody that is having a bad time. Make sure that you tell people what you want so that they don't get confused. And the other thing it says is you're very good. Every day you try to be a good person and to do what you say you're going to do. So keep on doing that. Most of all, understand summer in 2019, you have Archangel Gabriel, and that means that this is a good year for you to do some great things for yourself. Maybe go out and lift some weights, or maybe go out and take some long walks, or even if it's around and around and around the yard, or whatever you need to do. But make sure that you nurture your body and do some special things for yourself this summer, this coming year, because I think that if you do, you're going to be happy. And I see good things for you, Chris. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Marie.
Do
Thank
for
you.
yourself so that you can still do for others. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Sometimes we have to do for ourselves just so we can continue,
Yep.
you know.
Hi, I'm Ann.